After that conference, I did go out to Brits in the northwest and spent the rest of the day with a cattle farmer as well as a cattle handling equipment manufacturer to get some understanding of the difficulties that they are facing, which often trickle down to the consumer in terms of food price inflation. The Motshotelo Farm sits on 102 hectares of land and is managed by university graduate Ipeleng Kwadi Seboni and her family. Majoring in agricultural science, the cattle farmer says her family has always had green hands. However, various economic headwinds such as inconsistent and unreliable power supply, logistical bottlenecks and cheap imports, lack of capital, a polycrisis economy, and rising geopolitical tensions makes it hard to keep going.
For the past years, it has been a very great challenge because we are aware of our horticulture and plants production producers who are supposed to be supplying us with feed. They are also under the pressure of the fertilizers that are supplied by the Ukraine.
These rising costs on essential inputs make it a challenge for her to modernize the farm, with even second-hand cattle handling equipment running into the tens of thousands.
One of the most important parts of the management in the farm is the facilities. Our cattle, when they leave the farm, they must be in a good condition up until to the market. So we do have the pressure because currently the facilities that we have, they are getting old.
The owner of cattle handling equipment manufacturer Taltech, Greg Talbot, sympathizes and agrees with Kwadi Seboni.
New farmers coming into the market is very tough for them to try and compete and get ahead because the cost of product is just raw materials is going up, and it's affecting those small farmers, and we're seeing that our small farmer community, first time buyers by us, they're really battling, and they can't really make an impact in the market.
He adds that manufacturers are facing their own set of rising costs that push their products for farmers higher.
A lot of our input costs are from raw material side, steel and things like nuts and bolts, but a lot of that is our input costs are being based on US prices, and government also got policies in place to protect all the infrastructure, especially on the steel manufacturing side, which is raising those costs.
Talbot says his concerns extend not only to the final consumer, but also to the small-scale farmers and first-time buyers of products such as Kwadi Seboni, who simply cannot afford it, concentrating the market even further. He adds that it also puts a squeeze on his ability to pay his workers the salary they deserve. Despite there being plenty of water resources in the region, farmers argue that stringent and long processes to secure a water license makes it difficult for them to access the resource. This adds to farmers' woes and inability to expand and diversify their farms.
In the morning, when you open the kraal, your cattle must go to the field and graze and also get fresh water as part of their health. So as a farmer, now when you apply for the funds, you must also produce your water license. So it's very important for all the farmers to get their water rights.
31-year-old Kwadi Seboni is also the chairperson of the Youth in Agriculture and Rural Development in the Northwest. She's concerned about the young, educated people in the community losing their resilience and turning to alcohol as a coping mechanism. She says other farmers in the community assist workers in reducing their cost of living by offering produce at discounted prices at the end of each week. The chief economist at the Competition Commission, James Hodge, says food prices have increased by 35% since the end of the COVID-19 pandemic, with the poorest households spending up to 40% of their income putting food on the table. Despite these challenges, both Talbot and Kwadi Seboni say they will soldier on to sustain their hard-earned businesses in order to continue to serve the South African consumer and retain the jobs they have created.